As you may be aware, Knack has recently launched Flows, so I thought I'd give it a go and try and set up a simple flow to delete some records. So let's dive in and take a look. So just to run you through the setup before we do the flow, this is my list of clients. I've got Boris Johnson, and as you can see on the right hand side, he has a count of 12 notes. If I go into his record, this is obviously the parent record at the top, and then beneath the blue line are the 12 notes. And I've just added two, number 36 and number 35. But you'll also notice I've put in here the record ID. Now, this isn't something that Knack does natively, but I just wanted to pull it through here because how Flows works, like many other software solutions, is it uses the record ID. Now, in case you're not aware, and if you are, I apologize, but many new people don't understand how the record IDs work. So if I was to go in to view the details of this particular note, I pulled the record ID through here, and it's a 24-digit alphanumeric number. And this particular one ends in 196B. Now, Knack don't currently expose that anywhere in the application like I'm showing, but it is always exposed in the URL in the browser. So you can see here, this ends in 196B. And this is important because it's the record ID that we use when we're doing integrations. So coming back a level to my client's details, I've added these two records, number 36 and number 35. And on this particular grid, I have a button that says delete. It's not actually a delete, it's a soft delete, it's an action link, which toggles a field, which is called marked for deletion, from no to yes. And then this particular table is filtered to only show records where it hasn't been marked for deletion. So I'm going to just click the action link for record ID 36. I'll get my little pop-up here to say that's been removed. And you can see now I have record 35, and I'm going to do the same with that one. And these have now moved to the mark for deletion section, which is kind of an admin page. But this table is the reverse. It's only showing records where mark for deletion is set to yes. So I've got 36 and 35. I go into the builder, into my notes table, and just refresh. You can see 36 and 35 here with my record IDs. But these two are marked for deletion. It's a simple yes/no field, and all the other ones are marked as no. So if I was to put a filter on here and say where marked for deletion is equal to yes, I'm just going to get two records. Now, that logic of marked for deletion equals yes is exactly what we use in Flows. So let's head over on the left-hand side to Flows, and we're going to create a flow from scratch. I'm just going to rename it. And the first thing that I need to do is to set up a schedule or schedule, depending on where you are. So I'm going to say set up my schedule. So I need to add a trigger. So I'm going to click on this first one here and choose my app. I'm just going to type schedule and use the schedule trigger. And it only has one option. So continue. And I'm going to set this up to run. There's lots of different options, but I'm just going to do once a day at 1 a.m. and save that. My next step is an action. And what I need to do is actually search, like I was filtering, I need to search Knack for those records. So let's go into here and say Knack, choose an action. I need to search for multiple records. I'm going to connect it to Classic Clips, and my table was client notes. And continue. So now this is the same logic. My operator equals is, and then the field which had the yes no in it is here, and I need to say I'm looking for them where it equals yes, and then save that. So I'm just going to test this first of all to see what data I get back. So I'm going to click on test, and this will just run the flow test. It takes a couple of seconds, and I can either start this flow if I was happy, but obviously we haven't actually finished it. I've just searched for the record. So we're going to go to the flow log. If you're getting value from this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. Obviously, if you're not subscribed, hit that bell and I'll jump back in and we'll carry on. So we're in the flow log. We can see we've got one entry here. We can simply click on that to expand it. And we can see the scheduled trigger. I can go into the details of that, but I'm more interested in the searching for multiple records. So if I expand that, we can see here we've got the operator is yes, and it found two records from the client's notes table, and the first record ID ended in 96B, which is number auto increment 36, and then it tells you what the note was. And if I scroll down a bit further, you can see the other record was 055, and that was record auto increment number 35, and then that was the note. So let's just go into the data side of things and look at my actual table, and you can see we've got auto increments 36 and 35, and then the record IDs end in 96B and 055, and they're the only two marked as yes. So the next thing we need to do now we found those is to iterate through them and then delete them. So let's go back to the flow, click back into it. We're in the flow builder. I'm going to add a tool, and the tool is the iterator tool, which is down here. Select that, click on save, click on set up the tool, and currently there is only one option, which is to search for multiple records, and that will pull up the record IDs of all the records that it finds. So now my last step is to add another action, which is another Knack action, and that will be to delete the records that the iterator finds. I'm going to connect it to Classic Clips. I'm going to look in the client notes table, click OK. So now this page is where the record ID conversation becomes more important, because we need to specify which record IDs to delete. Now we're looking at to find it from the iterator. So if I collapse these down, we've got the scheduled trigger, we've got the search for multiple records, which are these two steps in the background here. And then we need to target step 3, which was the iterator, which stepped through all the records it found. Now this may be slightly confusing, because unusually I actually do have a field here called record ID, which is the one that I've manually added to my table. So we can kind of ignore that one. It's this field here, which is the record ID that Knack is passing through to the iterator, which is the one you don't normally see in the live app. So I'm going to select that and say save, and that's now given me my last step to delete. Now you can obviously change any of these little pencil icons, so I can click in here and rename these steps to make them something more useful, but actually this is kind of fine. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and I'm going to test this, which will run the whole flow. So that's now running, and that's now concluded. So I'm going to go to my flow log, and you can see here I've got more steps than before. So I'm just going to open this one up. You've got the trigger, the search for multiple records. So let's have a quick look at that. Scroll down, and it found 2. Then you had the iterator, and it found 2 records to delete. So the first record it deleted was this one, ended in 96B, and that was 1 delete. And then the other record was 055, which was 1 record, and that was deleted. So let's just go back to my table, go back to the records, and obviously both records have gone, and there's nothing showing here to be marked for deletion. So heading back to my flow, the last thing I need to do is actually turn it on. So we've already set up our schedule here once a day, and as mentioned, you can do various different things like on specific days of the week or just on weekdays and stuff like that. But I'm just going to leave mine as once at 1 o'clock, and then I'm just simply going to turn it on. So now my flow is on, and if I wanted to check results, that will link me back to the flow log. But effectively, that's it. I can set it and forget it, and any records marked for deletion at 1 o'clock in the morning will get removed. Hopefully you enjoyed that and it made some sense. This is the first flow that I've actually built, so please bear with me. I'm hoping to do more of these. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Encourages me to keep going, and I'll catch you on the next one.